YouTube, this is ACEEE06, and I'm making this video because unfortunately there has been some bad news about Atlanta, Georgia. And if you're wondering, well, which most of you don't have to wonder, well, why am I bringing up Atlanta, Georgia? I haven't even gotten a video down there due to the fact that I live like 800 to 900 miles north of there. Granted, I did used to live in that area, but that's when I was like 5 years old. The point is, recently, like Floridian Elevators took a trip to Atlanta and unfortunately discovered some bad news. Several of the high-rise buildings that have every elevator enthusiast who has visited Atlanta has gotten into now has turnstiles. This is in addition to one or two other buildings that have had turnstiles for quite a few years now. And beforehand, I mean, Atlanta was like a place that I look forward to going back to after all these years. And technically I had been down there once, but a 1 hour layover doesn't count. And that was before I even started filming, so I wasn't able to film the plane, train, and a couple of elevators which I rode on. Had I started a year earlier I would have, but this is not the point. The point is, the Georgia Pacific building, the Equitable building, and One Atlantic Center now have turnstiles. And this is in addition to the Bank of America Plaza, which has had turnstiles for 6 years, though I didn't know about it until a year ago, if maybe not even that long ago. The point is, Atlanta used to be such an easy city to film in. This is why I looked forward to going back there. Now I'm not really so excited to go there anymore. As a lot of us know, the Westin Peachtree Plaza key-carded its guest room elevators. They do have the glass elevators, which are still good. So half of it's still good, but it still sucks about the inner elevators being key-carded. Those elevators are very fast. And let's see what else. The Omni key-carded their elevators quite a few years ago. The most recent one, though, is the Residence Inn, 20 floors. They key-carded their elevators last year, which I was not happy about. Like, more and more hotels are key-carding their elevators. More and more office buildings are turnstiling their elevators. Before you know it, you're not going to see very many high-rise videos. Any high-rise video that comes out is probably going to be of an observation deck. Other than that, it's like they're turning out to be almost extinct. The high-rise leg of our hobby is dying. When more and more places decide to restrict the elevators, it's just terrible. And I wouldn't take it so bad if they would at least be tolerable to us. Like I said, Floridian Elevators went down there, or pardon me, actually for him it was up there since he lives in Florida, to Atlanta, and discovered all these additional buildings that are now restricted, and not one of them let him in when he asked if he could get permission. This is why I don't like it when these buildings turnstile the elevators off. It's like they are doing it. I mean, this is probably not the case, but it's like they're doing it just to keep us out. Because, I mean, when these places put turnstiles in, it's for added security. But the point of security is to keep bad things from happening. If they don't let us in, do you know what that means? They're saying our hobby is a bad thing. 99% of these turnstile buildings are intolerant towards us. And And this is why I don't like when they turnstile the elevators off. Now, when the hobby first became a regular thing back in 2007, and Atlanta was really easy. There might have been one building that had turnstiles. I didn't even know that turnstiles there were so rare for office buildings that for a long time I didn't think there were any places. But they started getting on people's nerves around the turn of the decade when Bank of America Plaza got turnstiles and West and Peachtree Plaza got key card readers in the elevators. But okay, you could still hitch at the West and Peachtree Plaza. Yes, I know some people are not fond of that, but they're special elevators. They're worse things than riding an elevator. And okay, Bank of America Plaza got restricted. That sucks because it's the tallest building in the city. But okay, at least there are a bunch of other tall buildings. But now, Georgia Pacific puts turnstiles in. I heard that they changed ownership, and that's probably the reason. The previous owners didn't have a problem with it open. The new owners, like a bunch of other people, are closed-minded and decided to put turnstiles in. And next door to Georgia Pacific, Equitable Building followed ship. I assume that one probably triggered the other to do it, and I'm guessing it was Georgia Pacific triggering Equitable, although it could have been the other way around. But because Georgia Pacific changed ownership, that's why I suspect it. But both of those buildings are now restricted. In addition, One Atlantic Center is restricted, although I don't know when they got restricted. But these two got restricted, Georgia Pacific and Equitable, either in 2015 or in 2016. And it really, things suck. How often do you hear of a place having turnstiles that removes them? It's always the opposite. It's always putting in turnstiles. This time frame is it's really ugly. More and more places are going from open access to closed, and the closed access places are very rarely are they friendly. One rare example of a closed access place that recognizes our hobby is the Duke Energy Center in Charlotte. They let TJ Elevator Fan and his family in, and they not only allowed them to ride the elevators and film the elevators, they even took them to a behind-the-scenes machine room area, and I think they even showed part of the low-rise shaft. In addition, they let high-rise elevator lover in. So there are some places that recognize this hobby, but it is so rare. And not 10% rare, more like 1% rare. For places like Duke Energy Center, I applauds go out to them, but unfortunately, with these turnstile places, it's so rare to find such a place. In fact, I'll use an example of Georgia Pacific. Sujo Shappy was there in 2014 when it was still open. Person said, "Go on, take a ride." And he said how it's a lot less strict, it's a lot more tolerant in New York, and now the same facility is now like these New York facilities. It's got turnstiles, and the people will not let the elevator enthusiasts in. And again, the hobby in terms of low-rise elevators and maybe some mid-rises is not in bad shape, but the high-rise leg, it's a dying breed. Before you know it, it's only going to be observation deck elevators. They're going to be the only high-rise elevators getting filmed. Because, right now, of the 6 tallest buildings in Atlanta, 3 of them have turnstiles, and one of them is the West and Peachtree Plaza, which at least they have the glass elevators. Because that's a restaurant and an observation area, they can't really restrict those. But right now, let's see, SunTrust Plaza and 191 Peachtree are still open. But the way things are going, that's probably not going to stay the case. Wouldn't surprise me if one, if not, or both of these places are making their turnstile plans right as I speak. This is just, this closed-mindedness is just sickening. People are not tolerant towards anything unusual, regardless of how troublesome our hobby is. They treat it like trouble. And I mean, I'm very disappointed in Atlanta. It used to be a very easy place to film in. Now, we've got more and more hotels being key-carded. The only really places that are still good are the Marriott Marquis, Hyatt Regency, and the Hilton. Now, the Hilton key-carded the 3 highest floors, but at least they didn't key-card everything like these other hotels did, like the Westin, for instance. And on the outer elevators, you can still ride those the full way easily because of the Nikolai's roof floor. So it's things over there. I mean, they did put some restriction in, but it's nothing compared to all these other places. Of course, the way the society's going, the way the paranoia has spread down to Atlanta, it's getting to the point where they're going to end up, wouldn't surprise me if all these places end up locking their floors out, if they're hotels, or turnstiling if they're office buildings. It's just getting to be a sick thing. The intolerance is awful. This has to stop. If they're going to have turnstiles, they need to at least be tolerant towards us. And don't even get me started with the keycard readers, even though I've brought that up a little bit. Because, I mean, that's just BS. I mean, I can understand when places are with crime problems. I know Atlanta has had its history with crime. It's not the safest of places, but really no reason for these elevators to be locked off during the day. It's just, again, it's more and more of this ugly time period. Let's face it, things suck. I don't like saying this, not only for myself, but for all of you, especially the younger elevator enthusiasts. God, you want to film an elevator? I mean, we're not talking about an elevator leading into some high-tech secret facility, if those really exist in real life. But we're talking about multi-tenant office buildings and hotels. And it's just, I mean, this is just really getting disappointing. The access restrictions are getting worse and worse and worse. And before you know it, again, this SunTrust Plaza, it's still open now, but is it going to stay that way? Same goes for 191 Peachtree and all the other taller buildings that are still open. Oh, and by the way, the turnstile issues, that wasn't even the only bad news. At 2 places that are still open, Floridian Elevators was given some form of bad time. At the Marquis 2 tower, he was told by the security guard he could not ride or film the elevators. Now, in defense to that guard, the person said, if it was my rules, I'd let you film. But I have to listen to what my boss says. So in this case, this apparently, or at least nowadays, the Marquis 2 management or whoever, or the owner, doesn't allow filming. And they're far from the only place that has this nonsense. And I wonder, I mean, what is wrong with photography? I mean, I can understand, maybe they don't want rival companies spying on the tenants in their building, but we're not talking about going into their offices. We're talking about areas like hallways, the lobby, the elevators. I mean, not allowing photography anywhere is just ridiculous. And there's the promenade too, where someone, I don't know if they successfully did it or not, but one of the employees at least attempted to report him to the front desk just for doing his hobby. I mean, seriously, what is wrong with filming an elevator? I didn't say it isn't unusual. I said, what is wrong with it? These people, there are so many people who think unusual and wrong are synonyms. This is just ridiculous. And this, I mean, got to do something to save the high-rise leg of our hobby. This is just ridiculous. Anyhow, hope you guys build more elevators and keep it up as much as he can, and hopefully this high-rise issue will turn around.